Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I just want to first say thank you very much for being here. I very much appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch this video and all my previous videos. If you're here for the first time, you're welcome. Please hit the subscribe button down below and also the notification bell so you always stay on track. You get a notification whenever I drop a video. Like I said in the previous video, I'll be doing a part 2, which is this, and I'll be talking about communication and connections. Now, my understanding of connection is you being able to get a good average from your sets. And when I say average, I mean if you set 5 balls, you get at least a 3 out of 5. Good. That is a 3 out of 5, which your player can come back and say, okay, those are like 3 good balls. 3 out of 5 is a good average. When you get 4 out of 5, that's a really great average. When you get 5 on 5, you're like perfect. But learning never stops and improvement never stops. So if you can go for like even a 6 on 5, that is still good. But that's what I consider a connection to be. A connection is we don't struggle very much to find a midpoint, a point of understanding. It means we had a very good connection. So if you have a good connection with your player, you're not going to struggle setting them. It means that connection is really there, and the bond it's very, very high. Now, talking about communication. Communication is a skill which is hard. Up to this point, I haven't mastered my communication skills that much. So I'm still learning, but I'm growing at the same time. So communication is something you have to build with your players. And communication means it's a two-way thing. I'm willing to listen to what you have to say, and the other person has to be willing to listen to what I have to say. So communication it's a two-way traffic. It goes back and forth. So in order for you to have a good communication with your teammates or your players, whichever player you have on the team and you guys are struggling, a quick story is when I started playing. When I started off as a setter back in 2013, I had 2 middle blockers, and I rolled with these middle blockers like all the way to like 4 years almost, about 3 or 4 years. We were together for like that long. So I came to understand or realize there are 2 kinds of middle blockers you come across. There is the one whom you won't struggle that much with, and it's not because you guys work a lot, but you guys just have a click really quick. So this is the middle blocker who you would set, even if it's a good or bad ball, they're still able to make something out of it. Now there's the other middle blocker which you're gonna have like some bumps on the road because you guys are still trying to figure out the sweet spot. And now I had a middle blocker which we hadn't found our sweet spot yet, and it took me a while, about a year and a half, almost 2 years before we could finally get a sweet spot. And the reason it took me that long to get a sweet spot with this guy was because we didn't have that much of a good communication between ourselves, and which I would say for the most part it was on my side, because he was taking in what I was telling him, but on my side I wasn't willing to take what he was telling me. So it got to a point where I had to say, hey, you have to listen to this guy, and not just listening to what he had to say, but I had to take in what he was telling me. So the moment I finally understood that, and I was able to step back out of where I was standing and look at the whole picture and be like, because when you start communicating with somebody, what happens, especially in volleyball, what happens is I have a point of view, you have a point of view. Now, when we step back from our point of view and look and switch sides and look at it from your point of view and you look at it from my point of view, then we have a different understanding of the whole picture. Because I'm not able to understand what you're saying because I cannot relate with you. And that's because I am not willing to relate, and I'm not willing to step out of my point of view. So it was that kind of clashes back and forth all the time. And when I finally made the decision, or I finally came to in terms with the fact that in order for me to give this guy the best, and for him to produce the best, I had to step out of where I was standing at. And the moment I stepped out of where I was standing at, I was able to look at his point of view and what he was trying to say, and we finally clicked. And when I clicked with this guy, it was phenomenal. Like, I could set him from all the way right back. He was right front, left front, I could set him. Middle front, I could set him from right back. Center back, I could set him all the way from left to left front. So that's when you finally understand you have a good connection with your teammate. because when you have a good connection, you don't struggle very much setting your players. He knows the speed at which he should approach. He knows where to be taking the ball from and all that good stuff. You guys just have that connection which is just formed, and it's a bond. It's not just a connection, it's a bond. A bond which will last for a very long time. And when you finally make a connection with a player, you guys don't practice. You don't need to practice that much for you to get in your sweet spot immediately. So a lot of setters suffer with or struggle, from which I have seen a lot of setters struggle from, that connection which they haven't formed yet with your teammates. And it's a hustle, because it takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of humility. Humility is the word. It takes a lot of humility for you to get that connection with your players. What he always told me, like, hey, you have to humble yourself and stuff. But somewhere down the road, I came to understand everything, and we were good. He's a really good friend, and we had a really good connection and some great playing times. Another person I was able to build a connection with was my opposite. I had a really great connection. That's one of the strongest connections I've ever had in volleyball. I'm yet to find one like that again. But I had a really good connection with this guy, and it was more of not just practice, but it was more of watching films, volleyball videos and stuff like that, which I'll talk about in another video. The importance of you watching clips with your teammates. You guys might watch that during practice with the coach and things like that, but you taking out time watching extra clips or showing clips to your teammates, it's something which will really help you as a setter and help your teammates as well. So I'm going to talk about that in another video, because I don't want this video to be too long. But for today, it's just about connection and communication. I'll repeat that again. If you have to have a good connection with your teammates as a setter or as any player on the team, you have to be willing to listen to what the other person has to say and look at it from their point of view. You have to humble yourself very much, because it takes a lot of humility to listen to what somebody has to say, even if you know you are right. Sometimes it takes a lot of humility, and that is something which I didn't have from the onset. But down the road, I was able to grow that a little bit more, even though I'm still growing as well. But I was able to grow that a little bit more and have a good communication with my teammates, and we were able to build a good connection. If your communication with your teammate is not that good, you guys will struggle building a connection. You cannot have a connection without a good communication at the forefront. So start off with communicating with your teammates, letting them know what you feel and how you feel about a particular situation, and also receiving what they have to say, the feedback they're giving you, because they don't just give you feedback out of I hate you doing this and this, but they give you feedback because they want you to improve and because they know you can be better. So that's why your teammates will give you feedback. So don't always take feedbacks, positive or negative. Don't always take it as an attack, because I always felt like people were attacking me, so I was always very, very much defensive almost all the time. So feedbacks are not meant to be negative. You have negative and positive feedbacks. Take the positive feedback, keep it. Take the negative feedback, recycle it. It's almost like taking it back to the warehouse and to the manufacturer, and you guys retouch a couple things on that stuff before putting the product out back in the market. So take your negative feedbacks back to the manufacturer, recycle it and try something new. So I'll talk about more of like videos and how to get that side of your volleyball moved up to another level, because that's also another point which you will figure out. It's very, very important in your communication and building a connection with your teammates. So those are like two of my best connections I've ever had in volleyball. Ever. Those are like my best two connections I ever had. My other teammates, they were really amazing, but I didn't struggle very much with them as I struggle with these two players. So the more I dug into being better and being able to form that bond with them, the more the connection was even stronger. So that'll be it for today, because I don't want to keep this video too long. I'll keep dropping content as much as I can, but it's more about just my story and how it can help you and how you can look at some other things. So if you haven't subscribed up to this point, please subscribe down below. I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.